What is the worst way to break up with someone? My BF and I went dancing. He put his credit card down to keep our tab open. I went to the bathroom, came out, couldn't find him forever. Found him in a corner making out with some random. I went to the bar, ordered everyone sitting at the bar a round of top shelf on his tab, and took a taxi home, before Uber. Still feels good, man. Okay, y'all. I just looked him up through a mutual friend on FB. Big old Trumper. No job. Bunch of kids he doesn't take care of. In and out of jail. I blessedly have been a defense attorney for 20 plus years, and if I still lived where I grew up he might have been my client. Gonna say it again. Feels good, man. Karma is sweet. Love this for you. I once had a guy's mom break up with me for him. We were both in our mid-20s. For the smart Alex, myself and ex-BF were both in our 20s and dating. His mom was the one who told me he was breaking up with me. I wasn't dating the mom. Haha, wow. I had an ex's mom apologize to me after her son cheated on me, and dumped me the next morning. She was horribly embarrassed and very nice. My ex's mom thanked me and said, "I know you did all you could," in front of my ex. I had an ex who worked with my mom. Said ex made very questionable relationship decisions. My mom said that so many times when she saw her mom that her mom said she wished she was still with me. She had good parents, but I dodged a bullet when she broke up with me. She ended up dating bad boys, and by that, I mean convicted felons, and has 4 kids from 3 guys. To be fair, we were in high school when we started dating. It probably wasn't gonna last. At least she was on birth control then, yikes. Yeah, dating convicted felons is a reddish flag to me. Bullet dodged, dude. That happened to someone I knew and was about to say, "Did you have a roommate who saw it all go down?" Haha. I shared an apartment with a guy once where one day his mom shows up out of the blue, took one look at his girlfriend, and said, "No, I don't like her. You're dropping out from college and coming home with me." No words of pleasantries were exchanged or getting to know each other. Just took a single look at her and then simply decided no. She then proceeded to direct her son to do packing, like, "Pack this, now pack that," and each time she gave him a command, he would just lower his head saying, "Yes, mommy." Completely blindsided us since it was completely out of the blue, suddenly leaving both his now ex-girlfriend and I effectively homeless and, at least in her case, single. About a year after all that happened, his ex-girlfriend and I looked back and laughed our asses off at how ridiculous that whole situation was. Especially since prior to that day, his image was the stereotypical, good old southern boy, who drives a big old pickup truck, works on cars, and has a gun collection. Holy crap, Nope, that wasn't me. I was living alone at the time. He was a very progressive, liberal fellow with an old car, actually. At a party, and there was a game in which all the single people were supposed to line up for something, and couples the other side. A friend went in the single line, his GF said WTF, and then he said, "I'm single, so are you now?" Very public and very hurtful. Thought he was a dick. Then he showed pictures he'd been sent of her the night before with some dude. Power move, holy fuck. At first, I was like, what a dick. Then I read the last line and I thought that he should have been more brutal. She got with another guy and was surprised that her BF dumped her. What is this? Is it the consequences of my actions? The audacity. You're not crazy. My girlfriend of 4 years left me out of the blue like this with zero communication. So I caught her after class one day and wrote her a letter just asking for some clarity and closure. 3 days later I got hit with a summons for a court hearing regarding a request for a protection order for stalking. Luckily the judge we got was fantastic, and told my ex that given the absolutely horrible way she went about this, that me doing what I did was not stalking by any sane or rational measure. She said, "You gave zero communication to this guy you spent 4 years with, and because of this, he wrote you a letter to ask what was going on. I'm sorry, but not only is that not stalking in any way given you didn't even tell him to not contact you, but it's also not even unreasonable of him." Then with zero hesitation denied her request entirely and basically told her she was wasting the court's time. My point in bringing it up is, don't beat yourself up. To leave someone like that is absolutely horrible, and it's not unreasonable to stop by his house just to get some idea of what the fuck was going on. People like your ex or my ex are such narcissistic manipulators that they will do something utterly cruel to somebody such as this, and then try to gaslight the other person as crazy for reacting in a normal way to that kind of pain. We're better off without them for sure. What a great judge. How did your ex reacted to her request being denied? That's the thing, she didn't even seem to give a shit. The judge thoroughly explained to her how absolutely nothing was coming from the hearing, and she was just like, okay, that hurt because that really proved to me she wasn't scared of me at all, she just wanted to hurt me. The funniest part was the judge called her out and caught her in a lie twice during her spoken testimony, saying things that directly contradicted what she wrote in her application. I had to try not to laugh. That's when I knew for certain I was going to win, lol. Horrible. Sorry, you had to go through that. At least it exposed her true nature. My sister's husband did this to her. She came home with a note along the lines of, "I'm done, I can't do this anymore." He wouldn't answer the phone or texts, and she didn't see it coming. Knowing my sister, I can't blame him for leaving, but it was a nasty way to do things. He also cut himself off from her kids as well. I ghosted a girl because I was too much of a coward to man up and just face the music and tell her I didn't love her anymore, and it literally haunts me 10 years later and probably will for the rest of my life. Full disclosure, somebody ghosted me and I was a wreck about it for over a month, and only then did I realize what an absolutely horrible thing that is to do to a person. So yeah, this is definitely the worst way. My ex-fiancé was supposed to escort me to my friend's wedding, for which I was the MOH. We had a wedding date set. I had a 1/2 CT round diamond and a dress chosen. We rented a house off campus at college and were seniors. That Friday before the wedding, he suddenly came down with the flu. He couldn't travel. I believed him and he acted loving and apologetic, etc. I went ahead and took the 3-hour trip. When I got back Sunday and walked into the house, everything, including furniture, was gone. My clothes and books were still there, but everything else was gone. I guess that meant he broke the engagement. I had my ex-wife do something similar when I was at work. Took her stuff and left. Never should have talked to her again. Calling the day after my birthday, long distance. Said she didn't love me anymore, she was sleeping with someone else, and I should get tested. The last visit to her was months before. I tested positive for chlamydia. Edit. She said she waited to tell me because she didn't want to ruin my birthday. How generous of her. Also, I didn't have any noticeable symptoms from the chlamydia. I went about 4-ish months before I found out. A woman broke up with me by changing her Facebook status to single. In her defense, we had a fight over the phone that morning, but I didn't think it was quite such a big deal. The nice thing about finding out that way was at least, I didn't have to deal with the sort of person who breaks up by changing their Facebook status anymore. My college boyfriend broke up with me the day before I left to celebrate my mom's birthday, aka 2 days before her birthday. I went to college an hour away from my house, and told me to my face that he was having doubts, never voiced them to me by the way, and said, more or less direct quote, "I think we'd be better off as friends now that the honeymoon phase is over." After this breakup, he proceeded to send me mixed signals, flirted with me, and continued to act like we were still together, minus the sex, for the next 3 months until the semester ended. Yesterday, while I was working, my fiancée of 1.5 years got a rental car, packed up our 4 dogs, and vanished. She sent me one text regarding it saying she knew I was cheating and that she was leaving. After speaking to her family, this is a verified lie and stunt she has pulled previously to other guys. Almost everything she has told me over our time together has been a complete lie, including highlights like her dad being dead, her being pregnant, and her having cancer. I am left with nothing and am moving back in with my mom 3 weeks before my 33rd birthday because I cannot afford rent and the cost of living by myself. I am completely devastated at the loss of my dogs, and deeply scarred after finding out the person I've lived with and been engaged to for nearly 2 years was a secret psychopath who was using me for personal gain. So her family knows she is like this, and they just keep sitting on the sidelines watching? Like they couldn't have given you a warning 2 years ago? Families of these people are almost always enablers, intimidated by them or excusing their behavior. We don't want to admit we created a monster. That's what me and my family said, but basically, she thought that me and my family were so stable and good that we had a shot at fixing her. I just read a story on Reddit about a guy whose girlfriend told him she wanted his help gathering her things around his house as her mom was coming and she didn't want her to know how much time she was staying the night. So they spent a couple hours gathering her shit and he helped her move it to her car. Then she called him and told him she was actually just leaving him and lied. That seemed pretty savage. Here. You read that here, earlier in this thread. What my ex did to me. He told me to meet him in the Target parking lot. He jumped in my car and said, "I found someone else and I can't be with a sick girl. It's just too taxing. Hope you understand." Then got out and walked away. Jerk. 3 months later I met who is now my husband of 14 years. The trash took itself out. So he left because you were sick? Even if it was too much, there are better ways to go about it. I'm sorry. Yep. I didn't know what was wrong at the time. It turns out I have endometriosis and it's pretty severe. My husband pushed me to find out. He got me to go to the doctor and have surgery the month after our wedding. I don't know what I'd do without him. He's been with me through it all. That's a good man. I'm glad to hear stories about people ending up with great partners. I'm happy for you.